CEO of Horsepower Brands, and today I'm excited. We have Dakota Taylor, our Chief People Officer, with us today. And we're going to talk about one of the most important things of any company, our culture. We're going to dive into it. But first, Dakota, I remember our first interaction was at a restaurant, just going through the process of getting to know each other in the interview process. And the thing that you've always brought since that day was the energy around people. Can you just share a little bit about your experience within human resources and recruiting?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks, Tony, and thanks for asking me to be here. I absolutely love people. People are my passion. I've had 15 plus years in marketing, but really recruiting and helping people find their match. So for me, it's about understanding what people love and helping them find that, whether it's a volunteer activity, but mostly a job. So I'm here to really support the employees that we have here at corporate that in turn help our franchisees be successful day in and day out.
That's awesome. And I always talk to you about we need to round out our leadership team, our whole company with different type of people that bring a different type of energy and focus. And your focus on our organization around the people is critical to our success. Within any company, we talk about the culture, and I speak to culture, eat strategy for breakfast, and it centers around the core values. And as we develop the core values for Horsepower, we've had that since the beginning. We've really been able to roll that out through what we like to call Water Cooler Wednesday. Can you kind of share what Water Cooler Wednesday looks like for our organization?
Terrific question about Water Cooler. So every week we bring our entire organization, both people on site and remote, to a 15-minute quick hit. What are our business objectives? What are the big wins for the week from the prior week? Where are we going in the next couple weeks, maybe even quarterly, talking about rocks. But the one thing that we do that everyone loves, where it really resonates with our people, is we talk about our values. What does that mean? So we're talking about intellectual capital, purpose, execution, winning energy, and having a backbone. We ask our employees to give a shout out to someone else. So, hey, I want to give a shout out to Tony on execution. We clap and we give a quick example of how that person did us a solid, helped us in a certain way, get us to where we need to go. And this is in front of the entire company. So you can really see how people rally around each other. You can see different themes or different people that are really just putting themselves out there and asking for more. Really an opportunity for us to showcase the great talent that we have at the organization. So Water Cooler Wednesdays every Wednesday at 10 a.m. We'd love to invite people to kind of see the different people that we have at the organization and how to be a part of that winning energy.
So it's a good segue. Let's dive into some of our core values. But a big part of what we're trying to accomplish within Horsepower that is unique is I'd love to see these core values exist through our entire system, which is the honor of people, but onto the franchisees. So let's dive into our core values. And I'll just start with intellectual capital. With intellectual capital, you don't build a business, you build people, then the people build a business. And when I look back to the objective of what we're doing within Horsepower, it's going to come at the feet of many, many people. We aren't going to deal with one or two people. It's going to come at the feet of many people. We talk to three strokes of that wheel, and one of them is our people, our employees, and they got to bring the intellectual capital within their role. So we hire people that are in these industries that can support our franchisees about the knowledge of the product or service. We hire people that have been in the franchising space and how to support franchisees through franchising. So our employees bring that intellectual capital into our system. And we talk at length about suppliers. And these suppliers are oftentimes publicly traded companies, large organizations with hundreds of years of experience. How are we leveraging all their knowledge and know-how into our system and wrapping it up in a bow for our franchisees? And then the third and most important piece as we go through this process with candidates that are viewing this video is our franchisees and the intellectual capital that they're bringing from business experience of how to run operations. Franchising is about following a process, and they can bring in that experience of how to run a team, how to run operations, how to run a business. That's the intellectual capital that our employees bring, our suppliers bring, and our franchisees bring. It just lifts the entire organization up. So that's our first core value, intellectual capital. And I'll let you go towards purpose.
Yeah, before I do, I think what's important about intellectual capital is we are hiring subject matter expertise for the good of everyone, right? And so when I hear you talk about those three spokes of the wheel of both the employees, but the franchisees and the vendors, what I see in totality is really intellectual wealth across the board, being able to plug and play and pick up the phone or walk across the room to say, hey, Tony, I've got a quick question on this. Can you help me? So I really love that in regards to the intellectual capital. Switching gears over to purpose. Purpose for us is really knowing what you want, how you're going to get it, and asking for it. So for me, it's really simple. If I know what I want and I'm going to drive toward business or rocks, I'm going to create different milestones on how I get there so that I can really deliver on those types of things. And what we're trying to do is really encourage all of our people. What is your purpose every single day? You know, when we're getting up out of bed today, it's I'm going to do X, Y, and Z for the employees, and it might be for the same thing for you sitting in these seats. But really understanding that a call center agent, all the way down to those, every single level of employee has to understand what is their purpose and how they're adding value to the organization. So it's really important for us as an organization. One thing we do is we share our annual goals, our quarterly rocks, so that if I'm sitting in any seat in the organization, I can go to my leader and I can say, okay, I know how my purpose contributes to the overall organizational goals. So to me, again, purpose is know what you want, how you're going to get it, and make the opportunity to ask for it.
I love it. We drive fast, we drive hard within Horsepower, so we need people that are driven. We need people that know their own purpose and what they're trying to go towards. And we hopefully Horsepower is a vehicle to allow them to get there as well. So I love purpose, and it just allows us to really push and have good conversations with our employees to drive forward. The next one is execution, our third one, execution, which is it's 1% about the vision, about what you share with the company, but it's 99% about executing. And so we use EOS and Traction at level 10 meetings every week, where I talk to execution as a perfect core value inside that meeting, because you got to show up each and every week with your team that you're part of, and you're responsible to the seven-day commitments you made last week, which we call to-dos, or you're responsible towards your rocks, which are quarterly goals, and the milestones every single week towards that. And so our level 10 is our way within our company to hold to the execution component. But if we can make small strides every 7 days, it moves the company forward in a big way. So it's obviously one of my favorite core values because it helps drive the company forward through the EOS and the level 10 meetings. I'll let you take the next one.
Yes, so I came from a world of having the subject matter expertise, but not the franchising. So Elton's was new to me. At first, I did have a little bit of, it wasn't that I didn't want to embrace it, I just had to find my own rhythm.
Yes.
And so for me, that was the Traction book was critical. I also reached out to an individual, back to the intellectual capital. You can see how all of these things kind of intertwine, but reached out to someone internal to help me build my own Elton, kind of find my own rhythm. Since doing that, we have hit all of our rocks. We've been able to identify milestones. We've been able to move the target quicker. And certain things that we know that are going to take a lot of time, we've been able to kind of put those aside because that doesn't give us the opportunity to execute or be able to do it in a quick time frame. So the execution for me, I like to get things done. I'm very much a list, and I have a little checkbox. I want to be able to, cross it off, but then also highlight it. So to me, execution is really a great value because I know I'm moving the needle for the organization, for our corporate employees, or potentially for our Zs and our vendors. So it's again kind of that all-encompassing approach.
I love it. So winning energy, our fourth one. Yes.
Yes, winning energy. So what we want to do is we want to work hard, play hard, but really when we're talking about winning energy, we want to set goals, we want to win, and we want to repeat. So how do we rinse and reuse that opportunity? So for us, it's the winning energy. There are times where we're moving so quickly. You talked about change and just the pace in which we move. We do encourage our people, right, to come to us and say, hey, pause for a minute, Tony. Let's take an opportunity to celebrate this win we had last week.
Yeah.
So we're encouraging our people to do that. But for us, it's really having that positive energy to come to work every single day, but then move the needle for our franchisees. We are not doing a service as a franchisor if our franchisees do not feel supported, they don't have what they need, but they also want to have someone on the other line, or vendors for that matter, right, Tony, where they can call and say, okay, well, I know if I can get to Dakota, she can put me in the right direction. We have to bring that winning energy and that positivity day in and day out.
Yeah, absolutely. And the coincidence of the entire thing of this core value, it ties really well into home service space, which wasn't the intent when we created it, but home service relies on a pipeline of activity that you manage through a CRM, and you're constantly going through setting goals for the week. You're winning by winning the estimate, minutes. You're going to install the job. You take a moment and celebrate those wins, but then it's that rinse and reuse and moving forward. So as franchisees look to their own core values, this is one that can really shape up well within the home service space for their own employees. And then we'll go to our last one, having a
Wait,
backbone.
before you do that,
Go
can I
ahead.
go back to that?
Absolutely.
Winning energy, I think that the way that we're seeing that a lot with Aziz is through reviews, right? So seeing a lot of that opportunity, and I know as a consumer, if I'm tasked with, last week I got tasked with, hey, we need to get the carpets cleaned.
Yes.
Kurt, that's my husband. I'm right on top of that. But what do is I go look at those reviews and looking at that winning energy that those business does. So I think that that's a great tie-in as well for the franchisees.
I love it. Absolutely. Our last one, having a backbone. So at Horsepower Brands, we want our employees to come to the level 10s. We want them to come to work each and every day with the intellectual capital, with the purpose and the driving to push the company forward, with the willingness to execute, having that winning energy. And so with that, disagreement occurs. And so we talk about
Never
having, never
here,
not between us, but having a backbone, being willing to disagree, make a decision, and commit wholly. I talk a lot to the worst decision is not making a decision. So being able to have a discussion inside our level 10, cooler heads will prevail, getting to a resolution, making a decision, and then committing 100% wholly as a team forward. And that last piece is actually sometimes the most challenging for people to adopt because oftentimes that commitment might not be the direction that you individually think for whatever the reason is, but you at least had a time and a chance to talk as a team what the best decision, the greater good for the company. You move forward with that and you commit 100% towards it. You got any follow-up or points I missed there?
Gosh, I think you did it really well. So kudos to you. Nice job. I think the only thing that I would add is that there is an opportunity, and I've seen this. So it's not something that you're just saying that we don't disagree. Yes, for everyone, we have disagreed a few times, but it really has helped us create a better working relationship and a dialogue of like, okay, well, here's my vantage point, here's yours, and maybe sometimes it's we're meeting in the middle. You know, and we both kind of win on that, and that kind of ties back into that winning energy. But what I think I love most about the backbone is that there's an opportunity to at least have the dialogue. So often decisions are made and are cascaded down, and you don't have the opportunity to say, wait, pause, pump the brakes. I have a couple questions. And so for me, that's something that really resonates and kind of aligns to myself is that I can come to you and ask those questions, or for that matter, anyone can.
Yep.
Before we kind of wrap today, can you also talk about your 131? Because I think that that's something that you've taught me, and that could be really great for employees, candidates, et cetera.
And franchisees, yeah. So as we look to solve issues within our level 10 meeting, we talk about 131 often. And 131 is first, anytime you have an issue, is you come to it and you have to identify what that issue is, and you have to explain that all the way through. So a problem that is defined well is a problem that's half solved. So if you take the time to actually define your problem with logic, with reason, with detailed notes, you more than likely have solved it on your own. And so then we encourage our employees to come to the meeting with 3 viable options. And viable means it's 3 viable solutions. And viable does mean that as you left that decision, you'd be okay with either one of those. If the company chose either one of those, you'd be 100% okay as an individual, as that's the direction you can go. And we mentioned like a cheat code. One of the cheat codes is you don't make any changes. Here's an issue, well defined, half solved. We don't have the resources, the time, energy, whatever the case is, we don't choose to do anything going forward. What's the 2 other solutions that we go from? And then that employee also, finally, the last one, so 131, is they get to come to the table and present their recommended solution. And anytime an employee has gone through that process for me, like it shows their commitment, not only that they have a legitimate issue, because once they've defined it, I know that if they've gone that far and presented 3 solutions, I know that it's really an issue for that person for whatever the reason it is, and it's worth discussing it. And then from that point forward, we tell employees that if you go through that process, you commit to it, you're more than likely going to get your one solution the majority of the time because you've gone through with logic, you've offered 3 solutions, you consider the entire company the greater good, you've got your recommended solution, and you can go from there. So that's one thing that's just internally, even aside our core values, to help with conflict, help with issue solving, all that good stuff.
But I think through the 131 exercise, anytime that I've done it, whether with my team members or with you as my leader, there's always been an opportunity to bring in and tie in the core values because you're having a backbone to bring it up or have that healthy dialogue of, okay, let's agree to disagree. Or you're saying, okay, well, I can do these things and here's how I can execute, back to that execution core value. So there's so many things that align with our core values, but that 131 is kind of our way to like really demonstrate that we live those core values through our work every single day.
Awesome. And I'll end with this is as we have candidates come to a discovery day with us, what's important to me is they leave that discovery day, whether they choose Horsepower or not, they leave that discovery day and they say, you know what, that is an organization that talks about their 5 core values and lives it. Because for me, I don't want to become a commodity that sits on a wall or a poster. I really want people to feel it and leave knowing that that's an organization. This is what we commit to, right or wrong. This is what we commit to.
And they want to be a part of it, right?
And they want to be a part of it. So, and to end with Dakota Taylor, so she also leads our organization with Z Recruit. She works alongside our brand president, Hope. You'll learn a lot about Z Recruit through this process. And then she leads a team that's focused on Z Benefits, which is not something that we own and operate, but we're looking for solutions to help candidates and franchisees obtain benefits and continue to roll that out as an organization. All that ties around to people, her passion for people. She's a driver within the company. Dakota, you know, as always, I always appreciate what you do for us. Thank you for taking the time today and sharing your thoughts on the core values.
Absolutely. Thank you. And we hope to see you soon. Look forward to